boy, it's another governing body update video. Are you ready, ladies and gentlemen? Because I'm sure it's going to be fun-filled with all sorts of wacky information. At least I hope so. I've been kind of busy today, so I haven't actually watched it. So we're going to just see what this thing is all about. So yeah, that should let you know about what this video is going to be like. With all that being said, let's do it.
Welcome, brothers and sisters. Since our last report, we've had 7 more special conventions.
I don't know why. It always just captivates my attention when I see a governing body, sporting the new beard look, trying to be cool and hip with the modern day Jehovah's Witness. And I'm just like scratch my nuts and try and figure out why does this actually bother me? And I think the closest thing I can compare it to is someone doing a presidential campaign, and they're get all the cameras out and get a big old crowd, and hey, we're gonna go down to Long John Silver's, and I'm gonna go and order lunch and talk to the people because hey, I'm just like you. I go and get my greasy lunch for $7.48. I'm a man of the people, But at the same time, it's a publicity stunt. There's all these cameras around. It's just for show. You are not just like them. Sorry, Mr. President, but you know nothing about the life of the average American citizen. And eating at Long John Silver's doesn't prove anything. And I feel like I get that vibe whenever they sort of sport the beard and try and be a cool modern day Jehovah's Witness. Because if this guy goes and shows up at any local convention or assembly, he's going to be treated like he is a god on earth. Everyone wants to shake his hand and talk to him, and just no one's going to come up and question him about anything. They have security. I've done this whenever a governing body member comes to a local convention. You have a certain amount of brothers there that operate the security task force for the governing body members. It's crazy. So they're, me and my pals, walking around with Tony Morris thinking we're so cool because we get to be the security for Tony Morris to make sure no apostates come and try and do anything crazy. They are treated not like ordinary witnesses. So I think that's why it offends me so much when he's like, yeah, look at me and my cool new JW modern beard. It's like, nah, you are not like the people at all. You're the ones that make these ridiculous rules that allow grown men to say, oh, I guess I can finally just have facial hair now. You are not like them.
They were held in Philadelphia, United States, Sofia, Bulgaria, Suva, Fiji, Lyon, France, Asunción, Paraguay, Tampa, United States, Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. More than 16,000 delegates traveled from 101 countries to attend these conventions. There was a combined peak attendance of over 98,000, and 859 were baptized. In Paraguay, there are currently about 11,500 publishers. Nearly 2,000 delegates were invited to attend the special convention. Remarkably, though, the peak attendance was 28,617. Clearly, there's much potential for growth.
Something smells a little bit off about this, and I'm just going to hazard a guess, and then I'll double check, and I'll get right back with you. But I am going to guess that the average child per household is probably double what it is in America. And when he's giving this statistic, there's only 11,000, then there was 2,000 people invited, but there was 28,000. I think that people in Paraguay might have a lot of children, and children might not be counted as publishers, but they could be there and still counted as attendance. So I'm going to check this out, and I'll get right back with you. So I'm going to edit this and wouldn't you know it, I was right. So in Paraguay, at least I just did a quick little search online, the average woman has 2.6 children, and in America it was 1.4. So the statistic doesn't actually seem completely accurate. It's almost like what you would expect. If people just have more kids, kids aren't counted as publishers, but they are counted as attendees. And obviously, I think the growth in South America is obviously going to be higher as well. So when he's saying the statistic, it might sound good, like, whoa, there's twice as many people as publishers at the convention. Yeah, but those numbers might be a little bit misleading, and you ain't going to pull a fast one on me.
In fact, 293 were baptized at this convention alone. That's the largest baptism at one location in the history of our work in Paraguay. Jehovah has truly blessed these special conventions.
Okay, now I'm just confused. Only 293, I think, people, he said, get baptized? So that's a terrible closing percentage. If you have 11,000 witnesses, hopefully I'm remembering this right, 11,000 witnesses, and you invited 2,000 people there, or he said publishers. So I guess we could assume then that, because you don't have to be baptized in order to be a publisher. So I guess we'd assume that the people invited maybe is a wash with how many people might be unbaptized publishers, and it'll make the math easier. So we'll just keep that at 11,000. And he said they had 28,000 in the audience there. So if there's 28,000, that means, there's 17,000 people potentially, or 17,000 people, that you could be getting baptized, essentially. That's a massive amount of people. That means only 2% of them are actually getting baptized. 2%. I don't know if you've never been a witness, this might not seem like, well, what are you on about, Wally? But if you have someone that's studying the Bible with you, or is coming to even meetings with you, that's interested in becoming a Jehovah's Witness, if they end up at a convention, I'm going to hazard a guess that it's like a 50% chance that that person is going to get baptized. So why are only 2% of people getting baptized at this special convention of the potential non-baptized people in that building? Why was there only 2% of them? That is egregiously low. That's a terrible conversion ratio for Jehovah's Witnesses. So either you're making up the 28,000 number when you're, oh man, we got so much potential for growth. Either that number's made up and you're counting like pumpkins and trees and how many lines are in the parking lot, or I think it's an admission that they're all kids. They're just a bunch of kids there. And that's why you have a tiny number of people actually converting, and why the number would be so ballooned. Maybe I'm crazy. No, my mental math could be completely off here, just off the top of my head. But when he's saying these statistics, they just don't really track to anyone that is paying attention to what he's saying. But, people aren't probably paying attention to anything he's saying.
Here's a brief legal update. On September 17th, 2024, the 17 judges of the Grand Chamber of the European Court of Human Rights ruled in favor of Sister Pindo Muya, who was given blood transfusions in Spain against her wishes. Despite our sister's clear oral and written refusal, a judge in Spain allowed doctors to proceed. The Grand Chamber concluded that this violated her rights. It confirmed that patients have the fundamental right to choose their own medical care. What makes this decision especially significant is that it was issued by the Grand Chamber of the European Court of Human Rights. The Grand Chamber issues decisions only when a case is considered to be groundbreaking. Thus, this decision obligates 46 countries in Europe to respect patients' healthcare choices. We're grateful to the Grand Chamber for this decision. Above all, we thank Jehovah for this legal victory, which will benefit all of our brothers and sisters in Europe as they make informed medical decisions.
I'm finding it a little bit hard to believe that a judge would just violate this woman's rights. She's an adult. If she did make this oral and written, affirmation that she did not want to receive blood, I'm finding it hard to wrap my head around that. But maybe I can look up and see like what the actual document is, and maybe it'll clarify it, because he's painting this picture as if the judge was like, oh, she's one of Jehovah's Witnesses. Well, those people are the worst, and I don't like Jehovah's. Like a judge allowed them to go ahead anyway. It just seems a little bit reductive. So let me see if I can find the actual document. And I was able to find that. So let's just give this a quick little read and see exactly what happened. Principal facts. The applicant, Rose Pinda Moya, is an Ecuadorian national who was born in 1970. She is a Jehovah's Witness. Following medical tests carried out between July 27th, was advised to have surgery. She subsequently issued 2 documents, an advance medical, this is in 2017, an advance medical directive and lasting power of eternity. Each recorded her refusal to undergo a blood transfusion of any kind in any healthcare situation, even if her life was in danger, but she would accept any medical treatment that did not involve the use of blood. The applicant indicated that she carried the lasting power of attorney document on her person. The advance medical directive was deposited in the official register of advance directives of Castile and Leon and was accessible to Soria Hospital via the electronic system used by health professionals in the region. Under the legal framework in Spain, advance directives deposited in the national registers are to be copied within 7 days to the National Register of Advance Directives so as to be accessible to healthcare providers throughout the country. Okay. June 2018 was admitted to Soria Hospital with serious internal bleeding causing severe anemia. That evening, a doctor spoke to her about receiving a blood transfusion, which she refused. She expressed the refusal in an informed consent document, which she and the doctor both signed. The document became part of the applicant's medical file at Soria Hospital. The following day, due to hemorrhaging, she was transferred by ambulance to a hospital in Madrid. Yeah, see, this seems like more of a clerical error that was made and not like the direct. I mean, I'm assuming way too much already here, but anyway, let's see. A hospital in Madrid known for its capacity to provide alternative forms of treatment and blood transfusions. She agreed to the transfer, her understanding being that she could be treated there without resort to blood transfusion. She was accompanied by a doctor with her medical records. During the journey, the doctor warned the doctors at the hospital in Madrid that her condition was very serious. In light of this warning, anesthesiologists at the hospital contacted the duty judge for instructions on what to do when she arrived. They indicated that she was a Jehovah's Witness, that she had verbally expressed her refusal of all types of treatment, and that her condition would be very unstable upon arrival. So the information that was transferred to this judge, or that was given to the hospital, was that she had verbally done this. They indicated that she was a I just read that. The duty judge, who did not know the identity of the patient, nor her precise wishes, transmitted the doctor's request to a forensic doctor and to the local prosecutor and requested their opinion. Within approximately an hour, based on the information received and those opinions, the duty judge authorized all medical or surgical procedures that were needed to save her life. Treating the situation as an emergency, the usual consent protocol was not followed at the hospital. Surgery was performed that day, and 3 transmissions of red blood cells were administered to her, who had not been informed of the duty judge's order, despite it having been arranged during her journey to the hospital when it was recorded that she was conscious, oriented, and cooperative, and despite still being fully conscious, as noted in her records, when she was taken to the operating theater. The applicant, who believed she was to undergo treatment without blood transfusions, did not reiterate her refusal or refer to any written document stating the refusal. She learned of the precise surgery carried out and of the transfusions the day after the operation. Decision of the court. The court clarified that its role in this case was not to call into question the assessment of the patient's health by medical professionals or their decisions on the treatment to be given, but to focus on whether the decision-making process had shown sufficient respect for her autonomy. To do that, it examined how the decision-making process had been set in motion, conducted, and reviewed. The court recognized that the aim behind the duty judge's decision had been to potentially save her life. At the same time, letting a patient decide whether to accept a treatment is a basic and fundamental principle in the public health sphere and protected under the rule of freedom of informed consent. The court's case law states that a competent adult patient is free to decide whether to accept surgery or medical treatment, including blood transfusion. At the same time, robust legal and institutional safeguards are necessary in the decision-making process to ensure that the person is truly conscious of what they're doing. Yeah, because you wouldn't want someone that is like zooted out of their minds on different medications and stuff to be like, oh yeah, I'm absolutely can make an informed consent. So that's why they need like a little bit of redundancy built into these processes. But it sounds like they broke down because during her transfer and because it was an emergency situation. The court set out how, in an emergency situation, a patient's autonomy was to be reconciled with their right to life. The decision to refuse life-saving treatment had to be clear, specific, and unambiguous and represent the current position of the patient on the matter. If there were any reasonable grounds to doubt any of those aspects, then there was a duty for healthcare professionals to make every reasonable effort to determine whether the patient would want. If, despite those efforts, the physician or a national court was unable to establish that clearly, it was their duty to protect the patient's life by providing essential care. So basically, if there's something in question, their duty of care is to save the person's life and deal with the consequences later, unless it's specific, clear, and unambiguous. But maybe because of a lack of information, there was some ambiguity about it. The court underlined that when a state had decided to put in place a system of advanced medical directives that was relied on by patients, it was important that the system function effectively. It noted that the duty judge had not been provided with the full and correct information, and therefore her decision had been based on very limited, incorrect, and incomplete facts. The facts sent by the hospital in Madrid had stated that the patient rejected all types of treatment and that her refusal had only been expressed verbally. The lack of information in the facts had been a determinative factor on the decision-making by the duty judge. Moreover, the crucial issue as to whether she still had the capacity to decide for herself had been sidelined, and the power to decide had been transferred to the doctors treating her. Neither she nor anyone with close ties to her had been told about the duties judge decision before the surgery went ahead. The court found in particular that the authorization to proceed with treatment had resulted from a decision-making process that had been affected by the omission of essential information about the documenting of her wishes, which had been recorded in various forms and at various times in writing, since neither the applicant nor anyone connected with her had been made aware of the decision taken by the duty judge. It had not been possible to rectify that omission. Neither this issue nor the issue of her capacity to take a decision had been addressed in an adequate manner in the subsequent proceeding. The National Court of Appeals had surmised in its dismissal of this claim that she had been in a position to give or withhold consent, yet it is still confirmed that the duty judge had been right to authorize whatever treatment was necessary to save her life. Moreover, a missing signature on a copy of the informed consent document obtained by the applicant for the appellate proceedings from the Soria Hospital that had treated her had been a central issue. It had remained unelucidated. The national system had therefore not responded adequately to her complaint that her wishes had been wrongly overruled. These shortcomings meant that she had not been able to exercise her autonomy in order to observe. Okay, so it. Hopefully my camera is working now, and we're not going to have a bunch of problems with it. Okay, camera, please don't give me an error. For the love of God, I just want to get this video out tonight. And are we cooking? Are we good? We're cooking with fire? Okay, I think my camera's all better. I don't know what was going on there. It was an error that I've never seen before. But anyway, it's just weird that he is presenting it like Judge Bad this judge is out here with syringes of blood just trying to pump them into Jehovah's Witnesses left and right, and that people in Spain or all of these 41 countries in Europe don't actually have a fundamental human right. No, they had the right, but there was a systematic error. There was a communications error. There was a clerical error that happened. And because of that, there was some ambiguity about what this woman's wishes were. And if there is any ambiguity in what a woman's or anyone's wishes are, a doctor has an obligation to save that person's life. A question of, I don't know. She's all hopped up on morphine. Does she really just want to die right here on the operating table? I'm not 100% sure, but hey, we don't want to risk it. So let's just go and have a beer and some cigarettes and watch the game. No, a doctor is going to save that person's life. So I feel like it wouldn't not have been that difficult to actually take the 15 seconds to read this document and explain it to his audience so that way they clearly understood exactly what was happening. But instead, it's this grand victory for Jehovah's Witnesses. My thinking about why he's presenting it like this is because if you are tapped into the Jehovah's Witness news feed, they don't often get these grand victories in courts. It's a little bit of a bummer if you're a Jehovah's Witness looking for legal victories for Jehovah's Witnesses and their rights these days. So, yeah, I think that's more of the issue is because people that are witnesses, they'll oftentimes read news stories. When I was a witness, I had a tab on my home screen that anytime a Jehovah's Witness news article would pop up, I would get an alert to it. I don't think I could do that. I was fine back in 2010. In 2024, if I was a believing Jehovah's Witness, it would be one negative news story after the next. And I think I wouldn't be able to deal with it because I'm like, man, why is there all this negative news? So I think they're just trying to present it as something greater than it actually is because they have so many negative news stories that are constantly coming out about them. Also, if you had on your bingo card for the annual meeting that they might revert the blood policy, I was someone that was maybe thinking this blood policy could be a change. Do we see it talked about as much? But clearly they're not going anywhere with it. And honestly, if you think about it reasonably, there is way too much loss of life for them to ever go back on this policy. It would look so awful to anyone that did lose a family member because of the blood policy. Then to all to say, haha, just kidding, the Bible doesn't actually say that. I think that this one is going to go to the bottom of the Hudson River with the Watchtower name. I don't think that this one will ever get changed. But hey, who knows?
During this month, September 2024, we've all been involved in a global campaign to start Bible studies using the Enjoy Life Forever brochure. What a joy to be united with our brothers and sisters worldwide in this campaign. Clearly, Jehovah has blessed our efforts to offer Bible studies during the campaign. But we want to continue to focus on starting Bible studies. Brothers and sisters, don't lose the momentum of this campaign. Ride the wave of enthusiasm. Continue to offer Bible studies at every appropriate opportunity. What can help us to do so? Although public witnessing is an important aspect of our ministry, and Bible studies sometimes result, we encourage all to share regularly in the house-to-house work. And remember, we'll have better results if we call at times when people are more likely to be home. This gives us more opportunities to start conversations that lead to Bible studies. Why not try the direct approach when it seems appropriate? While sharing in the ministry one evening, a brother in Germany spoke with a man who's about 35 years old. The brother asked him, "When did you last read the Bible?" The man replied, "This morning." They talked about why the Bible is valuable, using Micah 4:3 and 4 as an example. Then they discussed Lesson 1 of the Enjoy Life Forever brochure. The man's children were present and read the Bible verses aloud. The man agreed to start the Bible course.
Witnesses have an interesting relationship with Bible studies. I know I've talked about this on the channel before, but it's been a while. But what they constitute a Bible study, has significantly gone down in standard over the years. So back in the day, in order to count someone as a Bible study, so you're knocking on people's doors trying to be like, hey, would you like this magazine or would you like this track? Would you mind if I come back and share another scripture with you? Okay, that's counted as a return visit. If you do that multiple times, well, then you can offer them this book and you can demonstrate what a Bible study would be like and say, hey, I could come back next week if you have about an hour or so. And people are like, whoa, an hour? And they're like, yeah, that's kind of our Bible study program. So after you had spent 4 consecutive weeks of doing a 1 hour long study, then you could officially count this person as a Bible study. And then that standard has slowly been going down, down, and down. Now, the reason they had that standard is because it's a good metric to actually, if you're a company, you want to see what your results are for the time spent in the ministry. It's a good way to measure how efficient you are being. Well, I think at a certain point, they just wanted to close their eyes and cover their ears, and they didn't want to actually have any of the data about how efficient they are. So they've lowered the standard of what they can count as a Bible study. Now it's like, hey, did you talk to someone once for 5 minutes and they agreed and it was in this book? Cool. If you talk to them again next week for 5 minutes, you now have a Bible study. So the standard has gone down, down, and down. Now, because of that, the number of Bibles... Oh, and also in that, you can also count your children as a Bible study, which you weren't able to do before. And I forget the whole rules behind it. Again, I've talked about this before, but now like both parents can count a Bible study each. Anyway, basically a way to boost your numbers artificially is by lowering that standard. And now it's like, look, we have more Bible studies. Now I'll put a graph on the screen now just so you can see exactly what I'm on about. Their conversion ratio to Bible studies has historically been going down. I'm sure if I go to what is that? I can't even think of JW Facts. He's always got some statistics and stuff. Anyway, hopefully if not, I'm just gonna look like a real fool and you'll just see me talking. But thank you to JW Facts for theoretically providing this graph. And you can see clearly that the ratio of people that actually get baptized per Bible study has gone down, down, down. And yet their Bible studies keep going up, up, up. What does that mean from an analytical point of view? That means that you are not being effective with your time. You're managing your time very poorly. And because they tried to artificially boost these numbers in order to seem like, hey, look at how many Bible studies we have. Yeah, but that's not what someone from 1970 or the 80s or 90s would even call a Bible study. You're not talking about the same thing anymore. You're talking about a return visit to them. So anyway, it's interesting how they always try and pull these little tricks out of their hat. And you can see they're still trying to, I think this guy's an idiot and he's a company man that probably can't do quick math in his head or think in any unique way. Oh, I think he is probably just in the biggest echo chamber in the world, Bethel, and he never hears anything negative. It's just all positive, positive, positive. So, I mean, I don't know what the day in the life of a governing body member is. Maybe this guy's an evil mastermind that's going to make away with a bunch of people's money. I have no idea whatsoever, but he doesn't seem to me to be this master manipulator from my personal opinion. So it's just funny hearing him echo these party lines. But if you take more than 10 seconds to actually think about it, you can see that it's just artificially inflating your numbers to make your company seem more valuable than it actually is.
Our time in the ministry is valuable, and we want to use it wisely. As 1 Corinthians 9, verse 26 says, "Therefore the way I am running is not aimlessly. The way I am aiming my blows is so as not to be striking the air." We love to give Jehovah our best. In addition to having a regular share in the house-to-house work, what else can help us? In some areas, publishers have many return visits. But perhaps we need to consider prayerfully if our return visits are productive. Are such individuals growing in their love of the truth? Do they truly appreciate our visits? Are they interested in a Bible study? If not, perhaps we're striking the air. It might be best to redirect our efforts those individuals will have another opportunity to hear the good news when the territories work again. Of course, balance, patience, and discernment are needed. But we want to be sure we're making the best use of our time. Similarly, we might ask ourselves, are my Bible students making progress? Prayerfully consider, are they accepting Bible truths? Are they beginning to apply what they learn and to make changes where needed? Have they begun to attend congregation meetings? Are they speaking with others about what they learn? If they're not progressing, it would be best to spend our time and energy seeking out those who are rightly disposed for everlasting life.
This is a classic Watchtower delusion. The problem isn't with the people. It's not that the people out there trying to convert others. Why? Okay, hopefully there's no more ghosts in the machine. I'm recording at a slightly lower resolution, so hopefully that fixes the problem while I troubleshoot why the thing I've always been doing this entire time I've been on YouTube is now no longer working. Anyway, what I was trying to say was that this is a Watchtower delusion where they are blaming the people for a problem that they're causing. Watchtower sees the same statistics that I can cook up in my head pretty quickly, right? They know that this trend of amount of baptisms per Bible study is going down. I suspect that they are too thick in the noggin to actually put together the cause of that. I think they see Bible studies going up and think to themselves, oh, well, Bible studies are going up. Why can't we get more people baptized? This doesn't make any sense. Because maybe they lack a certain amount of self-reflection and being able to identify when they are the problem, which is pretty likely if you are thinking the decisions that you make are a manifestation of Jesus Christ himself blessing you, making the right decision. If you think Jesus is using you as his little lightsaber here on earth and wielding you around to do his bidding, it's probably going to be very easy to miss when you are the problem. And instead of looking internally, they're going to project these bad numbers on, well, it must be these lazy publishers that don't know how to preach anymore. You got to just cut off all these Bible studies that aren't working. The answer is really simple, guys. It's just you've told people what a Bible study is, and with that lower standard, this was an inevitability. Anyway, that's all I have to say about this JW.org governing body update. There it comes. Anyway, a little bit less of a refined video, but again, was a little bit busy today, and I will have a pretty exciting video coming out here this week. And we got the annual meeting right around the corner. So some very exciting stuff. If you're still around, I know probably like 4 of you guys have stuck around because you're like, this video is not his best, and I agree, it wasn't my best, but I at least tried, and for that effort, don't forget to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you want to see low-effort videos just like this. With all of that being said, stay safe, be kind, and show yourself the same kindness that you show to others. And I hope you have a good-ass day.